Good morning and happy Thanksgiving. This is Jeffrey Paul with an inspiration on a day that's very precious. It's precious because it's Thanksgiving Day, but every day is precious, and we're going to learn about that today. Today's are a little bit more of in-depth teaching, like our Sunday teachings are. Our morning teachings of inspiration are 3 to 5 minutes at max, and it gives you that energy to get into the life of abundant life on a day-to-day basis. But today, I want to go deeper because you probably are not working today. Hopefully, you're not. And if you are, I hope you get home early to share with the family. But yesterday, we started a sharing that was really, really valuable. It was valuable because it was about belief systems. What you believe is what you get. And I shared a book. In fact, I quoted it wrong, its title, so I'm going to correct it today. It's As a Man or Woman Thinketh. Now, I put the woman in it because I believe it's generically the right thing of both. It has nothing to do with male or female or any type of gender. But as a man or woman thinketh, as a person thinks, so it is. It comes out of a proverb, Proverb 23, verse 7. And James Allen wrote this book, and it's amazing because it's going to tie into today's lesson. And Pauline, I know you're out there. Pauline really kind of continued to stimulate what was already processing in my mindset of a lesson for you. And she and I dialogued a little bit in commentaries from the Inspirational Live Facebook that I did yesterday. And she shared about giving thanks in all circumstances, even for her trials and tribulations and challenges. Well, that, as I sent back to her, is an absolute scripture, instruction to the path of maturity, success in everything you do. Yes, now hear me. James chapter 1, and I'm going to repeat this a number of times. James chapter 1, verses 2 down through 6, 7. Sometimes you can read as much as you want all the way to 8. But the reality is that it says from James' very teaching, give thanks, be joyful through your trial and tribulations. For if you will endure and persevere, you will mature and lack nothing and succeed wherever you might go. But don't be double-minded. Don't be processing back and forth. Maintain your thankfulness, which is the process of how we keep our thoughts captive. Now, let's slow it down. That's a pretty big, how do I give thanks for trials and tribulations, Jeff? It's ridiculous. I'm going through some issues. I'm going through some challenges. How could it be possibly that God would want this for my life? He's bigger than you, bigger than me, and he knows how he's going to work all things together for the good. And all of you, as you're listening today, have seen in 1 year something that looked not so good that rolled through the process of its maturity and turned out to be maybe something very good for you in your life. How many of you had that experience where you had the situation and it didn't look so good when it started, and it turned out that as time passed, as circumstances took its course, they turned for the good? Well, I know you're out there, and I know that you're realizing that process. But how does that have to do anything with Thanksgiving, Jeff? Well, today I want to teach you about the use of thanksgiving, not the day, the use and the power of thanksgiving. See, if we rejoice and give thanks in all circumstances, like James talks about and Thessalonians talks about, we begin to think and set up the process of our thought process. And here, let me tell you, if I see something in my natural eye, my senses of sight, if I hear something in my hearing, my natural sense of hearing, if I perceive then what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, I'm doing it in the knowledge, in the understanding of my life, my intelligence, my ability to perceive what I'm seeing and hearing, and never seeing really behind the scenes, or that old saying, 30,000 feet high, of what's really happening in a circumstance. Are you following me? And so that's why in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 9 through 16, it says, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has perceived what God is really doing and doing for you. As it rolls down a few verses, it talks about, but now you have the eyes, the mind, the perception of God within you. So don't use all the time the perception that is outside. Draw within. and see, hear, and perceive and believe what is going on around you. Now, that might sound very deep for Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving is the process, because as you see something go on and you give thanks, as Pauline shared in her commentaries back to us yesterday, give thanks in circumstances and situations, you begin to continue to confirm your faith that who's in control? God's in control. So as you see circumstances that are distasteful, they're not fun, they're upsetting, they're difficult, they're challenging, they're saddening. As you continue to give thanks, not for it, but in the situation, give thanks for the situation. In situations like that, give thanks. And all of a sudden, your mind begins to perceive from the spiritual side. Your ears and eyes start to hear differently than you're even seeing physically. So let's walk this out today. Let's think about Thanksgiving. If today you give thanks in all circumstances, if you give thanks in circumstances that you're not so happy with, and it saddens you at times. I've got a friend who's lost a wonderful, wonderful husband. Carolyn probably is on this Facebook Live. She just recently, after pouring her heart out into caring for him and watching over him and being in the hospital with him and singing wonderful songs of praise to him, he just passed. He went into his eternal, powerful, wonderful life that we're all hopefully on our journey to. But she continued to give thanks through every day, every Facebook post that she put on, every picture. She continued to see and think the positive, the good, the pleasing, the perfect. Now, death is not a very happy moment in many cases, even though we know that there's an eternity. We know that we're going to be in a better place. But she kept her thinking, she kept her process from wheeling into even becoming mad at God. Have you ever gotten mad at God because things weren't going the way that you wanted them to do? Never realizing that he's really working all things together for your good, working all things together for your good. Thanksgiving is so important to use not only for today, for the Thanksgiving Day on, November 24th. It's really the true tool of really controlling your thoughts. If you give thanks in all circumstances, if you give thanks in all circumstances, in situations that don't clearly give you understanding, then you have the opportunity to really take captive those thoughts and not start to worry and fear and have anxiety and anger and all the things that come out of that. But let's go further. Let's go into your day today. Where are you going for lunch or dinner today? Begin to truly give thanks before you get there. Give thanks for the person or the people coming, or give thanks. Go through your list of who's coming. Give thanks for them. Give thanks for them, even if there was difficulty in the relationships, because there's a lot of relationship challenges today. Would you agree? When family get together, especially if you're Italian, you got to start to realize there's some challenges because we're passionate people, and there's other nationalities that are the same. But the truth of it is this, that today, if you begin to give thanks for each person, just like an invitation list, thanks for Uncle Joe. Thank you. Find something good that you can find thanks for him. Just that he's coming, give thanks. And the circumstances will start to create within you. That power of thanksgiving will give you a power that is beyond your imagination, because you're set up for success. And any business person knows you want to set up for success. Any athlete knows you want to prepare for success so that you're ready for success to implement it. Now here's your challenge today, or here's your maybe experiment today, or maybe this is your exercise today, whatever you want to call it. Something that my mom started multiple decades ago. And I want you to just hear this, because we've blessed so many people with sharing this tradition, used not only for Thanksgiving, but kicked off with Thanksgiving. We'd actually take a candle. She'd have a candle, and she'd light it, and she would then give thanks. She'd go around the table, maybe picking on everybody or picking on a few people, but she'd speak out of her mouth what she was thankful for that year. And then she would light the candle next to her of whoever's sitting there. And this went around the table, whether it was 3 or 53. And don't do it when the turkey's on the table right away, because it might get cold. Because people, once you start the domino effect of Thanksgiving, once you show them how Thanksgiving works, I'm talking about the power, not the holiday. I'm not talking about the commercial part of Thanksgiving. But you show them the power of Thanksgiving, especially for each other. All of a sudden, tears of joy, tears of excitement start to pour out of people. They get choked up, but for the first time maybe that they have ever thought about it or expressed it. And when one person does it, the next person does it, and the next person doesn't want to do it, motivate them and inspire them that this is a part of our tradition. We have had strangers come in and have dinner with us, and this practice has changed their life because they weren't coming for Thanksgiving dinner. They were coming for the exposure to Thanksgiving. Really what Thanksgiving, the power that God has given us to recognize He's in control, that He can show you through the eyes of God, through the ears of God, through the mind of God, through the heart of God, that what you've seen, what you're going through, what the circumstances are, He's in control. He sees farther than you see. He sees the full picture of the circle. He sees higher than you see. Isaiah chapter 55, 6 through 9 says, your thoughts are not God's thoughts. Your ways are not your ways. But take upon you the thoughts and the ways of God, and you will see your life in a whole new perspective. This is what I'm sharing with you today, and I hope that I could make my point clear enough, because it is deep. It is. That's why I didn't want to do it in a fast track 5-minute session. I wanted to take this opportunity of Thanksgiving and a deeper teaching. But the power of Thanksgiving is not a day. Thanksgiving is not about the Pilgrims or about anything else. It's about the power that's within you to take captive these thoughts. Take control of what you're seeing, because so often Harvard University Legal Law Department College it runs an experiment, from what I understand from some of my friends that are lawyers. They said that they have groups watch an accident take place, and then they have to write down what they saw. And it's almost, if there's 50 students, there's almost 50 different discernments or understandings or observations of the same scene. That's us. When we're walking through life and we're just looking at everything in our own mind, our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own emotions that are sometimes way out of control. But as we begin to give thanks in all circumstances, as it says in 1 Thessalonians 5, give thanks in all circumstances. Rejoice in all circumstances, not always for them, but in them, knowing that God is in control, working all things together for the good, that He knows every step you need to take to get you to the very blessed place that you desire and that He's planned for you. Thanksgiving is not only about a day. It'd be sad if that's really what it was all about. The truth of Thanksgiving is taking today and starting to teach this lesson to your family, to your friends, after you've done it yourself. Start right now by maybe writing down the things that you're thankful for. Broaden your spectrum and add everything that's in there. Add it in. Give thanks. Then when you go to your table, and if you want to try the exercise that I shared with you, share and explain. And I know some of you are going to be embarrassed, and some of you are not going to know what to say, and that's okay. You know, you're not on stage. You don't have to worry about that. Just for your very best, say, hey, a friend of mine, Jeffrey Paul, does this inspirational thing, and he kind of gave us an exercise, and I'd really like to make it a part of our tradition of our table of Thanksgiving today. It's really for, bringing Thanksgiving to our hearts. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to start by giving thanks, and light your candle, or just start it, and say I'm going to give thanks for my wife, and she's the most precious woman in my life. And you could have had a fight with her that morning. She's still your wife, and you still love her. And break through those feelings, those human feelings of anger or frustration, or you didn't take the turkey out in time, or whatever she might have gotten mad at you for, by driving through those feelings and those emotions that are human, and driving through into the love and the compassion and the kindness as God sees you and I, never counting your wrongs against you, as it says in 1 Corinthians, always seeing the good in you and always lifting you up when you fall down. That's what the scriptures say with God's attitude. That's how he sees you in his eyes. Then as you express that to others, even though you've had challenges, as I shared that Pauline talked about out of James, rejoice through your trials and tribulations, drive through with the power of thanksgiving and give thanks for that wife, for that child, or that brother, or that sister, that aunt, and speak to them with real love and compassion and thankfulness for them. They are going to melt down every problem, every circumstance, every situation that everybody around that table, and I've watched it for decades now, work. No matter what walk of life they come from. We've had professional athletes, we've had, well-known people, and we've had just street people at our table. And this practice of activating Thanksgiving, not the day or the meal, activating the power of Thanksgiving, sharing that with them, has given them a new lease on life. And I'll hear from them years later that we do that now, and we can't wait to get to Thanksgiving dinner. And I say to them always, why wait? Why not do it every meal? Why not do it every morning? Why not do it in giving thanks in all circumstances? Make it your habit. Make it the way of life. I know we celebrate it on this day in November, but Thanksgiving is a power and an exercise and a principle of God that you can use every day, every minute, through every situation, circumstance, good, bad, comforting, you like it, you don't like it. You can take captive your thoughts. Take captive your thoughts. You know how hard that is? Take captive your thoughts and truly focus it on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, drive through the feelings and the emotions and issues, and you're going to see a changed life. Well, I want to wish you a Thanksgiving, but I want to tell you my Thanksgiving to you. So I'm going to light my candle as I now pass it on to you. My candle's lit right now with my thankfulness that each and every one of you that visit me every morning, 7 days a week at 7:30 in the morning, are the most precious, wonderful people and inspiration to my life. You are. Each and every one of you are. And it means so much, not only for the hearts that you send me and the thumbs, that I know that something I'm saying that's come from something God said to me in my prayer time or my inspiration or meditation has penetrated into you, and that you've allowed me to come into your hearts, to come into your minds, to come into your lives and help you change and help you change others through your changed life, your transformed life. You are the most precious. I know a lot of you, but I don't know all of you except from this wonderful relationship with Facebook. And I thank God for Facebook, especially live, that gives me the ability to speak to Bobby and Christine and Sean and Judith and Tracy and Pauline and Claudia, and the list goes on. And I hope, and I want to let you know that I thank you for sharing this. You are precious and wonderful to share this with other people, with friends, and continue to share it so that other people can be inspired and allow me the opportunity to enter their lives with inspiration. So now that's my candle of thanksgiving for all of you that are there, all of you that are listening, every single one of you that are precious and wonderful and an inspiration in my life. So I want to start your candle lit, knowing you are precious and you're wonderful, because beauty and change begins within, and that is within you. And I want to let you know now that I hope that what I've just shared, which was sincerely from my heart, which I really mean about you, those that I know and I'm learning to know and getting to know through comments and through Facebook live returns of your inspirations to me, I want you to know that now that penetration is to go inside, to make you more beautiful, to make you change even closer to the beauty that you really are, that God has created you to be. And that then will radiate to the world, and you and I will help change the world. One inspiration at a time, one morning Facebook at a time. So have a beautiful Thanksgiving. Start the tradition of giving thanks in all circumstances. Share it first within yourself, then share it with your family, share it with your loved ones, share it with a stranger. It doesn't make a difference. When you go to Starbucks today, those poor girls that are working like Molly and them, give thanks and share with them what you're thankful for, even if they're there working while other people are home celebrating. Think about that. Just that little precious moment to take and give thanks for someone. So today is going to be a beautiful day. I know, because I've just felt it come across the wavelengths of inspiration. And I just want you to know that I'll be here tomorrow for you, God willing, and I'll be ready with another inspiration on White Friday. That's what we're going to talk about, White Friday, not Black Friday. We're going to talk about White Friday tomorrow. So have a great time. Send me some comments. Please give me some thumbs ups and some hearts and some smiley faces. It continues to make my day smile and inspired. So have a beautiful day. I can't tell you enough how much you mean, how precious you are, how wonderful you are, giving me the opportunity to come into your hearts, your minds, your Facebook, and inspire you, because that's my desire and my goal and my mission. Have a beautiful day. I'm Jeffrey Paul. See you tomorrow morning.